Welcome back to another video on the channel. One day to go until Wimbledon starts. It's going to be a fantastic 2 weeks on the men's and women's side. Sure, we'll have some great matches to watch. Today's video, I'm going to be focusing on my women's preview and prediction video. Always a fantastic open event that is littered with loads of fantastic players, and I'm sure we'll be treated to some classic matches and perhaps another new winner of the trophy, which we've seen in the last couple of years. So the first player I'm going to focus on is Naomi Osaka. And Osaka hasn't competed at Wimbledon since 2019, which is a long 5 years. And she is now ranked outside the top 100 after she took a long hiatus out of the sport. But I think whenever Naomi Osaka is in a tournament, you do have to take it seriously. She has won 4 Grand Slam titles, although she hasn't had any major success at Wimbledon, as you can see there, only reaching the third round on a couple of occasions. We have seen Osaka start to return to form. You know, she hasn't been in the blistering form that saw her win many majors, but she pushed Iga Swiatek all the way at the French Open, which is such a testament to how well Osaka played in that match. She actually had match point and probably should have won it. We all know by now Swiatek went on to win the French Open after winning Madrid and Rome. So the fact that Osaka stuck with Swiatek and got to a point where she should have actually won the match on match point shows you how dangerous of an opponent she can be when she's playing her best tennis. The fact that she is a major winner as well, if she gets to the quarterfinals and semi-finals, she's got that, big match mentality where she can get over the line, she can play a big match tennis in the match defining moments. A few players in the women's draw have, got to semi-finals and finals and majors and not being able to get over the line. We've seen her start to do that 4 times. Being outside the top 100, obviously unranked, she does have a very, very tough draw, as you can see there. As the ranker up Pliskova in round 3, a potential matchup with Coco Gauff in round 4, which would be brilliant to see as a fan. Paulini's been in great form. You've got Arina Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Elena Rybakina. So it's obviously going to be a very, very tough task for Naomi Osaka to turn up. And, if she could reach the second week, I think that would be an achievement for her. But while she's in the draw, while she's playing good tennis, she is obviously a threat to everybody, having won 4 majors in the past. Moving on now to Elena Rybakina, who was our champion in 2022 at Wimbledon. She is currently ranked 4th in the world, one of the favourites to take the title home in a couple of weeks' time. But she hasn't been in the best of form in 2024. She exited the Australian Open in just the second round. She made the quarterfinal at Roland Garros. But she has been struggling with fitness issues. She recently played what was a very difficult match in difficult conditions in Berlin and then retired in the following match. She looked very disorientated and dizzy. Really struggled with the serve and ground strokes, which isn't great preparation for coming to Wimbledon, but at least she has had a feel of the grass. I think for Rybakina to win Wimbledon again, she needs to be at the very top of the game. When she's serving well, hitting the forehand as she can, then she's a very difficult player to stop, similarly style to Arina Sabalenka. But Rybakina is not a player that moves fantastically well, in and around the net. She's not at the best form, and she doesn't have the best defense or athleticism on the WTA tour. She does lack a little bit of variety, in my opinion, on the backhand slice and, coming forward and using the drop shot, which I think you need to be using to be successful at Wimbledon. So I wouldn't personally pick Rybakina. I think we could see actually exit the tournament quite early. Has she recovered from her injury that was troubling her in Berlin? And she does turn up and gets through the first few matches in straight sets and serves particularly well and starts hitting the backhand down the line winners, hitting the forehand cross court. Then perhaps she can go on a deep run. But in my opinion, I haven't seen enough from Rybakina this year to suggest that she's in the form she was in 2022, and the recent withdrawal as well just sort of heightens the fact that I don't think she's going to make any sort of deep run this year at Wimbledon. Moving on now to Coco Gauff, and when you look at Coco Gauff straight away and saw that she reached the Wimbledon 4th round in 2019, it's just only 20. It sort of puts into context, how young Gauff still is. It feels like she's been around for years. To make fourth at Wimbledon at 15 years old is pretty much unheard of. Such an incredible achievement at that time. She has obviously won a major title since then, winning the US Open, but she did exit Wimbledon last year in round 1, which means that she is still fairly inexperienced at Wimbledon and on the grass. She's come straight from Roland Garros here. I think Gauff has got a mixed game for grass personally. I think when you look at the speed and athleticism and defence and the counter punching, she's got the perfect game style for grass in the sense that it's very quick. She can extend the rallies, like I say, with that defence and speed. But I think the forehand is certainly an issue that needs addressing on the grass. I think she's got a very big forehand motion, quite slow, and it doesn't allow for time. The grass is very low bouncing. It's a very quick court, a lot quicker than the French Open or a hard court, where you get the more natural high bounce. And I think for Gauff to be successful at Wimbledon, she needs to speed that forehand motion up. Another issue for Coco Gauff is she has now 8 consecutive defeats against Iga Swiatek, winning just one set. And I think if Coco Gauff wants to win more Grand Slams, that's a particular matchup that she's going to have to address. Swiatek's a young player herself, and she's dominating the tour at the moment. She's getting to semi-finals and finals if pretty much every event she turns up at. And if Gauff wants to win more Masters titles and more Grand Slams, she's going to have to find a way of turning that head-to-head in her favour ever so slightly. But to Gauff's credit, she has been incredibly consistent over the past 18 months to 2 years, which is, why she's ranked number 2 in the world. She's consistently reaching quarterfinals, semi-finals and finals. And other than Sabalenka and Swiatek, I think you have to say she is, the best player in the world at the moment. I would still put those two ahead of her personally. But Gauff's a player that is still very, very young. She's got so much room for improvement, particularly on her serve and her forehand, in my opinion. But she'll have the support of the British crowd as well. I think when she made that run here in 2019, it sort of really sparked the momentum for Gauff, and her career has gone on from strength to strength from there. But she's got that game style that people love to watch, where she wins the most incredible points with the defence and the speed and athleticism. And I think her draw has been pretty kind, to be honest. I wouldn't expect to see her too troubled in the first few rounds. We spoke about Naomi Osaka that she could face in the 4th round. Whether Osaka gets to that point, it would make for a brilliant matchup. Paolini isn't at home on grass. Madison Keys has been can be very unpredictable, but has had success against Gauff in the past. And then you look to the semi-final stages where you're reaching the real top end of the sport. But Gauff, for me, has a good chance at Wimbledon this week, but may lack a little bit of experience on the grass to be able to go all the way. Moving on now to Iga Swiatek, who is by far and away the best women's player in the world at the moment, shown there by number 1 ranking. She's won 5 Grand Slam titles, obviously winning 4 consecutive French Opens. Her best result at Wimbledon was in the quarter-final in 2023. It's definitely been Iga's worst Grand Slam over the years on the grass, and I think I would put that down to just having such a short season in grass, and she's just inexperienced on the surface. I've put some numbers down there. She went on a 37-match win streak in 2022. She was coming into 2024 on an 18-match winning streak, and she did become the first player in Open era history, I think, on the women's side to win Madrid, Rome, and Roland Garros consecutive. It was just such an unbelievable clay court season for Swiatek that really, proved the dominance on that surface. And I was lucky enough to go to Rome and watch Swiatek a couple of times live, and it was one of the most brilliant experiences I ever had live at a sporting event. Just see her go to work, consistent depth, width that she gets in her shots, the top spin, the serve, a backhand, a forehand, the net play, how mentally strong she is, the confidence that she shows in the game. She's such a complete player, in such a good vein of form, and she's probably coming into Wimbledon playing as well as she possibly can be. I think Swiatek does need to slightly adapt the game on grass, I think, and try and shorten the points. Swiatek's not a player that really likes to serve and volley or being in around the net. She prefers to extend the points, really dictate the rallies with her depth and consistency and she breaks down players in the back of the court. That can work at Wimbledon, but I do think to beat the top players, she needs to mix it up. Try and shorten some of the service games, try and be a bit more aggressive on the return, try and attack the short balls a little bit more. Because I do think Swiatek's capable of doing that. I think she's just had so much success on hard courts and clay courts from the back of the court that it's very difficult to sort of go away from that style. But, Swiatek's by far and away the best women's player in the world. So she's capable of turning up here and winning the title without any doubt, but hasn't had yet the success at Wimbledon that you would like to see. Her draw, again, I think is pretty tough. I think when you look at Sofia Kenin in round one, Kenin's a former Grand Slam champion, although you wouldn't really expect to see a trouble. Swiatek. Ostapenko is obviously a former major champion as well. Quarterfinal against Vondrousova, who is the defending champion here. And then you've got Elena Rybakina and Sabalenka potentially in the semis and finals, who obviously we know are massive servers, got huge ground strokes, and are probably more suited to grass than Iga Swiatek is. Moving on now to Aryna Sabalenka, and Sabalenka has now won 2 Grand Slam titles, winning back-to-back Australian Opens, has yet to win a title on grass, but has reached the semi-finals here on 2 occasions in 2021 and 2023. She won this year's Australian Open without dropping a set, and she was absolutely devastating at the Australian Open, and she sort of just signified how dominant Sabalenka can be when she's at the top of a game. When Sabalenka's on a hard court and she's serving and hitting the backhand and forehand as she can, then there's nobody in the women's game can live with her power and strength and clean ball striking. There's nobody in the world that can counterpunch it or really extend the rallies. She also had a very good clay court season, made the final in Madrid, made the semi-finals in Rome and Roland Garros. I think she'd like to come away with a title, but when she comes up against Swiatek on clay, she finds it very difficult to be able to stick with Swiatek in the extended rallies and with the consistency that Swiatek offers up. Over the years, Sabalenka has become more mature in the game, in my opinion, and that's seeing her results become more and more consistent. Sabalenka used to be guilty of exiting tournaments early and sort of, losing matches that she should really win. But over the years, she's learned to sort of become more patient in the play, I feel, wait for the right balls to attack. She's improved her serve over time and made that a more consistent stroke. And I feel that Sabalenka is consistently reaching the latter stages of Grand Slams and majors that she should really be doing. When she is serving and striking the ball as she can, she's very difficult to stop, as we saw at the Australian Open. She does come into Wimbledon with what she described as an annoying injury. We saw her withdraw in Berlin, and she hasn't revealed what the injury is. She's kept that private, but it's a slight worry that she's come here and described that injury as annoying, that it's definitely debilitating, and it's also affecting her mentally as well. So that's not obviously great preparation. We'll have to see how Aryna gets on in the first few rounds to really assess whether she can go on and win the title. But I do think she's got quite a nice draw. Obviously, Kasatkina there has just won Queens and Eastbourne and is in good form. But up until then, you'd expect her to get past Qinwen and Sakari. And even the semi-final draw, I think, is pretty nice when you think about the lack of experience that Gauff has on the grass. Paolini has had a lot of success, particularly on clay. And the other 2 players there, Kostyuk and Azarenka, I think you'd have to back Sabalenka to reach a final if she was to get to that stage. Moving on now, finally, the last player I'm going to preview is Emma Raducanu. Obviously broke through at this event in 2021, reaching the 4th round before then going on to win the US Open, becoming the first person in the Open era to win it from qualifying stage. Didn't actually drop the set as well. It was such a fantastic achievement, and for a British fan, it's brilliant to see Raducanu return to Wimbledon. Obviously, she missed the whole of grass court season last year when she underwent 3 surgeries. Still is only 21 years old, and I think for Raducanu, it's about just gaining experience this year. It's been nice to see her play well in Nottingham and Eastbourne to set her up well for Wimbledon. But she has a very tough opening round match against Alexandrova. If Raducanu would even get to round 2, I would be very impressed. She is, as I say, still very young, very inexperienced. And She missed this event completely in 2023. Coming to this tournament, she comes in the back of some decent form. She beat Caroline Garcia in the Billie Jean King Cup on clay, which was a brilliant win. She's obviously always also beat Jessica Pegula recently in Eastbourne, which was a great win for Raducanu. I'm sure give a lot of confidence. She's obviously got the support of the British crowd, and it remains to be seen how that affects Raducanu. I think it brings two different things. It brings a lot of pressure. We've seen with Andy Murray over the years that he's coped well with the pressure. Winning 2 titles, but it's not for everyone. I think Raducanu is a person that does like to play in front of the British crowd and sort of feeds off the energy that the centre court crowd can give her, but does also bring a lot of pressure and expectation. And for a young player that's yet to have many matches on grass, it could go one or two ways. But obviously, Raducanu has been dealt a very difficult draw due to a ranking Alexandrova, then Elise Mertens, Maria Sakkari, Qin Wenzheng, who's a very, very good young Chinese player, and Sabalenka in the quarters, or a repeat against Kasatkina, who dominated her in Eastbourne, albeit in difficult conditions. And I think if Raducanu could get to round 2 or 3, I think she'd be overall pleased with how the grass court season's gone for her, and hopefully build up for a great remainder of the year at the US Open and America hard court swing. So finally, my overall verdict, well, as the majority of WTA events are, I mean, other than the clay court masters and major events, which Iga Swiatek seems to absolutely dominate with barely dropping a set, a lot of the WTA events are very, very competitive and wide open. In the last 10 years of Wimbledon, we've had 9 different winners. I think Raducanu and Vondrousova at the time were shock winners. We may get another one of those. There's so many different players I could have previewed. Ons Jabeur's reached the last 2 finals of Wimbledon. I would say if you haven't watched Wimbledon before, or you're not really knowledgeable of women's tennis and you want to watch one player, please watch Ons Jabeur. She's such an entertaining player to watch. She's very crafty, very unorthodox. She loves a drop shot, loves entertaining the crowd, and she's such a fantastic natural talent. And you will not be disappointed if you watch Ons Jabeur at Wimbledon. Jessica Pegula comes into this tournament in very good form, ranked top 5 in the world now, has just won Berlin. Kasatkina, as I mentioned, recently beat Emma Raducanu, recently beat Jasmine Paolini in the final of Eastbourne. All very capable of coming up and winning Wimbledon, in my opinion. It's a draw that's littered with very young talents all chasing their dream, and it makes for great competition. I think when we see so many different winners on the WTA circuit regularly, it sort of gives every other player the hope and the belief and the expectation that they can go and repeat what they have. And we see so many brilliant matches now on the WTA. The level seems to rise every year, and it's going to be another fantastic major on the women's side. I think coming into this, we do have an opportunity for the younger players and the players that you perhaps wouldn't expect to win Wimbledon to actually go on and win it and make semi-finals and finals, because there is question marks over all the top players. Iga Swiatek is, although a dominance on the other surfaces, she's yet to pass the quarterfinal stage at Wimbledon. So you couldn't come here and safely say that Swiatek's definitely going to reach the semi-finals or finals. Coco Gauff obviously exited Wimbledon in round 1 last year, so she is still relatively inexperienced on the grass, and I'm not sure she has the forehand capable of going so deep in this tournament. Raducanu has recently withdrawn from an event. She's not in the best form. As I said, I think she's a player that unless she's serving and hitting the forehand as well as she possibly can, as she did in 2022, then I don't see her winning this event. Sabalenka has the issue with the unknown injury, but if she plays near her best, in my opinion, until the second week, she's going to be very, very tough to beat. And I think, in my opinion, the only thing that can really beat Sabalenka from winning Wimbledon is herself. If the injury is a real problem and she can't play her best, then there's many players in this draw that are capable of taking advantage of that. But if she really gets into a rhythm, gets the injury, pops out the way, or learns to manage it during the tournament, she's a player that's been incredibly consistent over the past 18 months. We recently saw her win the Australian Open without dropping a single set, and I think she's more accustomed to grass and more suited to grass than Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff, that gives her even more of an advantage. And I think she'll be very tough to beat. She's got huge weapons, serves at 120 plus mile an hour, can hit winners at 100 plus mile an hour. She's becoming more adept at the net over the years. And now she's a major winner and more mature. I think she's a player that's going to go strength to strength and become even more, stronger in her performances. And without doubt, become a Wimbledon champion one year. Maybe this year could be the year. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment on the video with any ideas or any predictions for the event yourself. I am also running a free Wimbledon competition on my Twitter page, which I will leave in the description below. It's completely free to enter, just a bit of fun. If you can correctly predict the men's and women's winners of this year's Wimbledon tournaments, then I will give a gift to someone who can do that. So do be sure to enter. It's obviously the last day that you can enter the competition. I will leave a link to it in the description below. If you do also want to subscribe or follow me on Twitter, I will be doing lots more tournament coverage and giving my thoughts and opinions of how the tournament's going, who I think's playing the best, who I think's going to get to the semi-finals and finals. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.